You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries. As we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media, this is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guests. Bill Janeshak. Dr. Bill Janeshak is in the house.
Great to be back, Ron.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Oh, yeah.
And first timer, I don't know if he's going to want to ever come back again, Brent Boswell. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any more finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And of course, we're celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. I just like to celebrate. Usually it has something to do with food. Today, National Cuban Sandwich Day. Now, okay, let's see what we put on. That one looks like one of the good ones. So some of the restaurants I go to, they actually call this a Cubano. Yeah, that's my gringo method of saying Cuban sandwich, but it's a good sandwich. It's grilled bread, and you've got some sliced pork in there, and you've got cheese. What else do they put in there? Pickles. You got to have the pickles. Ooh, good stuff. So I don't know, white bread? I don't know. Let's take a look and see what else we're going to see. Well, what are you going to do after you have a Cubano? Well, sponge cake day. Can we put a little bit of strawberries on there? Maybe a little whipped cream? What's this plain sponge cake? Where'd that come from, Josh? I mean, put some strawberries on there. Put some whipped cream on there. Yeah, let's go. Gonna go full out. I mean, I'm going to talk to these guys about losing weight. It's just the way we roll right here on Ron Siegel Radio. Maybe I better go to something a little more benign. The stock market, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, now down 157 points. S&P 500 down 7. NASDAQ up 2.96. It's been a wild ride already today. Oil up $3.09 a barrel. Should we look at it? Because, we know that the war is over in Ukraine. We know that. How do we know that? Well, we are always listening to President Biden.
You know better than that.
Yeah, well, he came out and he told us that the reason gas prices went up was because of the Putin war. Now, if that's the case, if that's true, I mean, gotta believe the president, right? Well, maybe not. Well, then that means that when the gas prices go down, it must mean that the war is over. So let's take a look at it. The gas prices, what are they doing? So maybe we should take a look and see where gas prices are. California, I don't think we want to look at that. $5.32 a gallon for a gasoline right here in the formerly Golden State. Ow! Josh, you're at $4.91. You still can't get below $4.90. Our tremendous processor, Jody, $4.03. Jody, you got it made, $4.03. The winner, though, on the team is always our tremendous underwriter, Lori. She does the best underwriting. And, if you want to get gasoline, you can go visit her as well. $3.45 a gallon for gasoline right there in Louisiana. The only one that I know that can go there to fill up would be Bill here, because he doesn't fill up his car with gasoline. Just throw that out there. I mean, we know who buys these Teslas, right? He's only the rich and the famous. And I don't know whether he's rich or famous, but that's a whole different story. But we know we're watching the gasoline prices, and gasoline obviously is a derivative of oil. So oil right now, and I just closed the screen, $93.36 a barrel of oil. Now I've shown you exactly how to figure out the cost of gasoline. When we see oil is at $93.36 a barrel, that means $4.17 when it gets to the pump near you and me. Well, not us, because we're in California and we like taxes and fees. So $4.17 would be the national average of a gallon of gasoline based on this. So maybe they're going to start the war again. I don't know, but the president's on vacation, so he won't tell. The president's always on vacation. But you know something? One of the few presidents in history, when he's on vacation, that's actually a good thing because he can't screw anything else up. But that's a whole different story. Let's continue looking at what's going on. I wonder if anyone's listening that's a fan of the president still. Are there any fans of the president? I just wonder about that. Moving right along. Let's see what's going on. With the Federal Reserve, they're in Jackson Hole this week. Yeah, they're going to be starting their meetings there, Jackson Hole, Wyoming meeting. I wonder if Liz Cheney will be there. Although, I guess she's got nothing else to do right now because she's on her way to being unemployed. Although, I think they just got rid of Brian Stelter and they got rid of Jim Acosta. Maybe there's an opening at CNN for you, Liz. You might fit right in over there. Moving right along. Let's see what else. Jackson Hole. So we'll find out what's going on from the Fed. Are they watching inflation? Do they believe that inflation is still transitory? Yeah,
it is what it is.
10-year Treasury slipped below 3%. We'll find out why that is in the Mortgage Minute in just a minute. Hey, what about student loans? They're going to have to start paying them at the end of the month, or will we? Now, I've got an interesting question on student loans because I hear, and you're gonna laugh at me about this. Many people will. Well, many people laugh at me for a lot of reasons. But here's the issue. I hear all this news that if they cancel the student loans, that's going to cause inflation. Let's think about this just a little bit. Define inflation. Too much money chasing too few goods. Has anybody been paying for student loans for the last 2 years? Right? They've been on hold for 2 years. So if we haven't been making those payments and we're not saving money, credit card debt is increasing. How does that become inflationary? Because there's no extra money being spent. Oh, wait, we're not sending it to the government for them to waste. Maybe that's the issue. So it's not going into other areas. But here again, I've shared this many times. There is a very easy solution to student loan debt. No, not avoiding college, but that might be one solution for some people. But here's the issue. Under President Bush 43, he stopped allowing, in one of their pieces of legislation, they stopped allowing student loan debt to be dischargeable in bankruptcy. If that becomes dischargeable in bankruptcy, watch how quickly the kids don't get loans as easily. Just throw that out there. The people that do have student loans, well, I believe you got to pay back what you borrowed. I know that's a narrow thought, but being that the government took over the industry, what if you pay it back interest-free? Think about that concept. So the government doesn't get to benefit from the money that they forced our kids to get into. I just throw that out there. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, what sellers need to know in today's housing market. Will rising interest rates affect your credit card? We'll find out about all of that and more. You can reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We will be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Is your budget getting blown up with high prices of gas and increased costs for other household needs? This is Ron Siegel, host of the daily home and finance radio program. Did you know if you have a low interest rate mortgage along with auto debt, credit card debt, or student loans, your family could potentially save $500 or more per month by restructuring these debts? If you'd like a free Borrow Smart analysis with our team, let's book an appointment to see how we might be able to relieve some stress. Schedule your appointment at rsrbsa.com. That's rsrbsa.com for your free Borrow Smart analysis. rsrbsa.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The S&P 500 is now down 4.75. The mortgage-backed securities, they're up 16 basis points in a volatile morning. 10-year Treasuries down 3 basis points, 3.0040. And as I tell you every morning at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. 30-year conforming rate loans locked yesterday, 5.676. 30-year jumbo loans locked at 5.408. 30-year FHA locked at 5.555. Jackpot. The 30-year USDA, for those of you in the rural areas, no down payment required, 5.472, and the best loan on the market, but you got to earn it. It's the 30-year VA loan, 5.275. All of that information, if you know where to find it, it is on that super secret website, google.com. But why is all of this happening? Well, the simple answer, that's why you tune into Ron Siegel Radio. New home sales, which measures signed contracts on new homes, were down 12.6% in July at a 511,000 unit annualized pace, which was much worse than expected. Sales are now down almost 30% year over year. There are 464,000 homes for sale at the end of July, but only 45,000, or under 10%, are actually completed. So guess what? If they're not completed, what are you going to do with them? You can't move into that structure. Well, they might red tag it at that point. 24% have not even been started. 66% are still under construction. At the current pace of sales, there's 10.9 months supply. Factoring in the amount of completed homes, the month supply is really just a month. You're not going to hear that from Diana Olick when she tells you all the fake news that she gives you all the time. Median home prices rose by 5.9% last month, 439,400, which is up a little over 8% year over year. While we're clearly seeing an activity recession in housing, pricing is still quite strong. Why? Because there's nothing to buy. The sellers don't have to sell. We're going to come out with some number. Well, I'm going to share the numbers with you right now. We're not going to come out with them. You're on Ron Siegel Radio. I'm going to tell you right here, right now, that we are seeing, as far as properties available, 551,000 is the total inventory for sale. That is the single family homes. We get our research from a company called Altos Research. They help us out with this. Last year, same week, 431,000. July 2020, same week, 593,000. And pre-pandemic, 965,000. Now, here's the big issue. Those of you that think that you're going to be able to just put your properties up and sell them for any price, ain't going to happen so much. Right now, we've actually seen the amount of homes that are getting price reductions dramatically increasing. So we're now at 39% of the properties in the market have taken a price reduction. But where are you located? Well, if you're anywhere near me, I'm right now we're broadcasting from the City of Orange super secret website, or super secret headquarters of Ron Siegel Radio, right here in the City of Orange. But let's take a look at nearby Yorba Linda, California. Price decreases. 50% of the properties in Yorba Linda that are listed right now have taken a price decrease. Anaheim Hills 92807. Price decreases. 55% of the properties have taken a price decrease. Ow! Now I'm going to share with you that other than just a few of them, they have not been active listeners of Ron Siegel Radio because they know if they listen to Ron Siegel Radio on a regular basis, we've got a better solution than a price decrease because we like marketing. And we know there's ways that you can actually get more bang for your buck than taking a price decrease. If you want to know that, give us a call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. That's the Mortgage Minute brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial when you're ready for that next home loan. Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. So every once in a while, we don't lock our doors here in the studio early enough. Now, we usually have the doors locked to the studio. And sometimes we leave them unlocked long enough to let Dr. Bill Janeshak in the house. And he is here with us today.
We are here, and you left the window open.
There was it wasn't a window, it's called the doggy door. That's a whole different story. But if you're not watching and following Dr. Bill on social channels, I had insomnia and I was watching him on a social channel recently, and I saw that you had COVID. You've been vocal about that.
The flu, yes.
Yes. No HIPAA law violations on Ron Siegel Radio. So
Yet.
But you had made a comment that you've had, and you know something. I've got a cousin that was on a ventilator for about 60 days early on, and I think he was one of the people that was, I think you're supposed to be put on your stomach, and he was put on his back or something because they didn't know any different at the time.
Yeah, early on they didn't know a lot of. Well, they still don't know a lot of stuff, but
at least Fauci's almost gone.
Yeah,
but that's a whole different story. But you made a comment that you were having some breathing issues or didn't feel quite right.
Yeah, it was weird.
That's a whole different issue.
Yeah, well, it was a different guy. Well, I got over it, and then I was back into the gym and I was working out, and then that's the problem right there. Well, yeah, I was going back there, but at high intensity exercise, there's the part that sucks that you go like, oh shit, why am I here? You
can't use that. Josh, we gotta wipe that one out for.
Oh darn, this is really tough. But
his name is Bill Janeshak. Don't go to Ron Siegel.
The censors are gonna get you.
No, it's the FTC, and this is fine, but that's okay.
Okay,
so I'm giving him your name, not mine.
Brent Boswell. Yeah. And then I was just finding out I couldn't get into that final heart rate that I was used to. And I thought, well, I should be over it by now. And I thought, well, there's something else. And I was talking to some other people at the gym, and they're going, yeah, I had it like a year ago and I still feel the same thing. I'm like, okay, I got to go off and do my metabolic testing. And that metabolic testing is, if you watch like the athletes, you see them on treadmill. You saw Lance Armstrong way back in the day. That put
a mask before on. The PEDs or after the PEDs?
It doesn't matter. I'm sure that they documented either way. But where they put the mask on, and they have you running, and they measure your VO2 max, which is your oxygen.
VO2.
That's the oxygen.
Okay,
that you're taking in.
I thought it was CO2.
The carbon dioxide is in there, and usually I go to we're in Southern California, so I would go to Cal State Fullerton that has a great physiological lab. It's just that it's so expensive. It takes all day. And I'm thinking, I got to toughen up Buttercup and I've got to go in. And then I went back to the office, and then Brent came in. He was getting adjusted, and he goes, hey, I got this new toy. And he starts explaining exactly what I was talking about manifesting. And I'm like, dude. And it dawned on me, like, stupid technology. It goes up everywhere else. Of course it goes into metabolic testing. So I said, yeah, let's do it. So he pulls out this thing. It's the same stuff, but you get more information, and you put this mask on, and it measures the metabolites in your breath. And by measuring the metabolites in your breath, it can pick up all these, all this information. That
metabolites in my breath.
Yeah.
Do I do that before my martinis or after?
You do that all the time, but it's there all the time. And with that, you can analyze that. I mean, that right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a combination.
So let's bring up, before we've got to introduce you. And we talked to Bill, and he's Brent Boswell is with us. So he's the manifester, or He measures.
I'm the
your breath.
manifester. He's the manifestee.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
there we go.
so you breathe on him.
Yes.
Or in his machine.
Yeah, my machine. Yeah, it's very COVID safe.
Okay.
A lot of oxygen coming out.
A lot of oxygen. Okay.
Yeah. I initially, I've been working in nutrition for a decade, and I initially got this device because the technology was there and available to us before. It was only in a metabolic ward. And one of the things that, pre-COVID, one of the things that people would consistently say is, oh, I can't lose weight because my metabolism is slow.
I've used that line.
Right, yeah. Right. So, so far, I have not seen a decrease in metabolism that's comparatively to like above average or even average. Most people, when they talk about, their metabolism, they think that they don't burn enough calories. So I wanted to say, okay, if that's, because that's a barrier for individuals, right? They obviously
it's a barrier and excuse, one or the other.
Right. Exactly. Right. So I wanted to show people, okay, is your metabolism slow or is it not?
Okay. So what is slow metabolism?
So it essentially, it means that based off of your age, height, weight, you're burning less calories than you should. So
okay.
We measure it with.
So I'm obese and I'm old and I'm bald. What does that mean? I'm not supposed to burn any calories, or what does that mean?
No, it means that. So, for example, let's say someone's 200 pounds, 6 foot. Their resting metabolic rate should be around 1,800 calories. So, without any additional activity or exercise, they should be burning around 1,800 calories at rest.
Just for existing.
Just for existing. And then, we do our daily activities. Some people's steps are on the lower side, 2,000. Some are, higher, 5,000, 7,000, 10,000. And so you should be burning plus in one activity around 2,400 calories per day. So this will in this report, it will show us that. And in that way, we can at least, if someone comes and says, oh, my metabolism is slow, we can
rule that in or out.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So I'll just throw this out there. My youngest son burns or walks about 20,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
Is that good or bad?
It's great.
Okay.
Amazing. Yeah.
But he's overweight.
Well, obviously.
So he's eating too much.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. So when it comes to, there's two parts of nutrition. There's weight loss and then there's the nutrition aspect of it.
Okay.
So you can actually eat healthy and still be overweight because you're not creating the deficit, and it's thermodynamics, right? So
now wait, Josh, we're gonna have to put a dictionary next to this show site here. Like you guys have gone way beyond metabolic and thermodynamics and metabolites, and when I went to school, we didn't really have to even do much in the way of science.
Yeah.
So you guys, when you're talking about some of this stuff, you're way beyond me. We're going to see if I can get a dictionary during the break. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the finance. Usually I just talk to Bill and he talks about cracking someone's back or neck or something like that. And now we're getting all scientific. I can understand crack your back. When we come back, what sellers need to know in today's housing market. Are we going to get to the point where I lose weight? I don't know. Will rising interest rates affect your credit card? All that and more. You can reach me anytime off air number 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, shame on you. But the replay is available. Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message. And I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomescout.com, rsrhomescout.com. Greatest tool out there for shopping for real estate. 97% of the country is covered. All you have to do is put in the demographics of where you want. Go to any of our real estate people locally. We have some great partners, the area trusted professionals. But here's the issue. The MLS that they're tied to is local. You know, if you want Idaho, if you want Tennessee, if you want Texas, rsrhomescout.com. What sellers need to know in today's housing market. If you're thinking about selling your house, you may have heard about the housing market slowing down in recent months. While it's still a seller's market, the peak frenzy the market saw over the past 2 years has cooled some. If you're asking yourself if you've missed your chance to sell your house and make a move, the good news is you have not. Motivated buyers are still out there, but you need to price your house right for today's market. Here's why, as Lawrence Yoon, chief economist of the National Association of Realtors, NAR, says, quote, homes priced right are selling very quickly, but homes priced too high are deterring prospective buyers, unquote. It's true, buyer demand has slowed over the past few months as higher mortgage rates made it more expensive to buy a home. The result is fewer bidding wars and less competition among buyers. Although we did see that Redfin article recently that said we still have about 40% of the properties are going through a bidding war, 3.5 offers per property. Buyer demand is moderating, is what if you're watching us on ronsiegelradio.tv, any of the socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed. You're seeing a chart right now. Josh just put it up. Don't forget, that's compared to severely overheated market we saw over the past 2 years, according to the latest confidence index from NAR. 39% of homes sold above list price, down from 51% a month ago and 50% a year ago. While this is a slower pace than even 1 month ago, serious buyers are still actively in the market, and they're buying homes that are priced right. In fact, the confidence index also notes the average home is selling in just 14 days. If you're aiming to sell your house, be sure you're working with your agent to price it for today's housing market, not last month's. As buyers' demand softens, it's important to understand this isn't the same market as a year ago. It's not even the same market as a few months ago, but it is still a seller's market. Make sure you're getting a hold of our 99-point marketing plan with massive social exposure. We've got that available for you. And don't mark down or don't price reduce until you look at the plan. Give us a call. Chief economist at CoreLogic, Selma Hepp, explains what's happening and it means when you sell. Quote, signs of a broader slowdown in the housing market are evident. This is in line with our previous expectations and given the notable cooling of buyer demand due to higher mortgage rates. Nevertheless, buyers still remain interested, which is keeping the market competitive, particularly for attractive homes that are properly priced, unquote. Bottom line, while the housing market has cooled from its overheated frenzy, it's still a seller's market. Sellers don't care. They don't have to sell. They've got a great interest rate. Buyers, they just don't have enough to shop for. As always, I ask if you have any friends, family, or coworkers looking to buy, sell, or borrow on real estate, can I count on you for the introduction? That is the real-time real estate segment, again, brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomescout.com, rsrhomescout.com. Continue our conversation this morning. Bill Janeshak and Brent Boswell are with us. We're talking about one of the things there's a lot of stuff I know very little about, but when it comes to science, with Chapman College way back when, their comment was, I got my degrees over there before it was a university. And, you had to have a science class. And they said, do you want a real science or a Mickey Mouse science? And I said, we're real close to Disneyland. I'll go there. Right? I mean, geography of national parks was one of them.
Wow.
And resort lifestyles.
Ooh, that sounds like a fun one.
Yeah, we spent inter term in Palm Springs. Back in the Sonny Bono days. Wow. It was back when you still had the spring break in Palm Springs.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Not many people remember that, and even if they were there, they don't remember that. But that's a whole different story.
You can break the science is one thing, but let's get real for you, Ron. We'll keep it really basic and really simple.
You must. I'm a simple man.
So I got in that because of COVID. I wanted to go and see how my body was using my oxygen and the fuel and everything.
Is that what the metabolic stuff does?
Yeah, and we don't pick that up on blood tests. That's a blood test is a snapshot in time. So this is real time stuff about how I'm using that. So if you're eating bacon and eggs, how's your body utilizing that? And then when you're moving around. So what we found out on my tests was that I had excellent cardiovascular system, and I'm all walking around, yeah. And then we look, but I wasn't utilizing the oxygen. So I was delivering it, but it wasn't getting into my cells. I wouldn't have known that otherwise. And I looked in there and we looked at each other and we go, oh, that makes sense. So with long COVID and the fatigue and you can't get there, your body can't absorb that oxygen. And a lot of people are walking around tired and fatigued. And if there's no oxygen in there, it takes two things to create a fire. And that's, oxygen utilization. So that's how you create heat. And through the testing, we looked at, and I knew exactly what I had to do. And a couple of weeks later, I'm good to go.
Okay, spill it.
So
what did you have to do?
Well, so I had that oxygen deficit on there. So I worked on getting in that high heart rate that I was having trouble in. And then I would stop out. I would do that exercise. And then I actually stopped out. It's just one thing. It's a little bit more complicated, but one of the things was I would go over and then I would blow out all my air and I would dump the CO2 and then
respiratory training.
Yeah, some respiratory training specifically.
I was going to say, you're not supposed to blow out. You're supposed to hold it forever. Explain this to us.
Well, so as you're going out and you let all the air out and all the CO2, and then you're empty, and then you bring it back in and you do a couple deep breaths, moving back, and you open up the lungs and you stimulate. It's like specific exercise for the
some
lungs.
of us that are like panting.
Yeah. And
is
so
that
when
good or bad?
That's bad because you're hyperventilating.
Right.
So you're not getting that in. So that's a balance. But then we took it in. I go, well, this is awesome. And so, like I said, we've worked on some people. Then we worked on some of the athletes because they're always looking for the edge. But with weight loss, it's really interesting because with the testing, we can go at each heart rate and what are you burning fats or carbs? And, there's some generalized things, but it's not specific.
Okay, so do I want to burn fats or do I want to burn carbs?
It depends.
It depends.
Yeah.
Yes. So you should be, okay. So at rest, you should primarily be running on fat, 80% to 20% carbohydrates. So the testing is done fasting. So without eating for about a 12-hour period. And so
that's a pain in itself.
Well, I mean,
explain that 12-hour period.
6, 7 to 8 the next day. I mean, not too bad. Not too bad. That's why you want to do the test early in the morning. You don't want to, do
that makes
sense.
Sense.
3 or 4 o'clock. So, anyways, if someone hasn't eaten in that time frame, and then we do the test, and it shows that they're burning 50% fat, 50% carbohydrates, it means that their metabolism is not flexible. We call it metabolic inflexibility, and because you should be burning your own source of fat as a fuel at 80% versus 20%. And so without 12 hours without any food, and if it's burning 50% fat, 50% carbohydrates, that's an issue. And you're depending on glycogen, stored sugars
that's what's in the body.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So stored sugar that's in the body, in the liver and the muscles. And if your body is requesting that as fuel, then it's impacting your blood sugar. It's causing you to want to eat more.
So when you come down, you can specifically,
am I tapping?
You can specifically find out what's the best diet for you.
So you go, okay. I was going to say, what am I going to do if I'm burning 50-50? Right? How do I change that? I can't, is there a dial somewhere or what's
basically I use a magic wand.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
That would be nice.
I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about his wand, but that's a whole different story.
Yes. So if you're having issues burning fat as fuel, then you need to eat more protein and balance your carbohydrate levels out, because that impacts your metabolism poorly. So if it's usually individuals that are eating high carb, high sugar diets, and it's not that carbohydrates are bad, it's just the tolerance for you as an individual. So if you're an athlete, you need more carbohydrates. If you're more sedentary, you need less carbohydrates. And I would say, if you're, a standard American diet is around 200 to 300 grams of carbohydrates, and I would say most people need around 100 to 150. And unless you're an athlete.
So the bottom line is that it gets it specific for you. So, with someone's history is based on who they are, where they are at the time, what's their diet, what foods do you like to eat, what foods do you are kind of. We just had a patient that had a
no, I'm kind of heavy, so I got bad knees, so as long as it's not moving.
There you go.
Most foods are acceptable.
but as you're going around, you'll find what's specific for you at this time. And so you get on one level, and then you can start to change your physiology. Maybe that'll increase your movement a little, and then that'll change again. So we can retest on specific parameters as well. So it continues to be specific for you. So like when I got in it, I was specifically looking for, why can't I get into this upper heart rate? That's one thing. Some people may go, how come I'm tired of getting off the couch? And then somebody else, like high performance, is like, how do I get that extra half second on my sprint exercise, or add 15 pounds?
Where's the limitation? So the test will tell where. So imagine someone that is an athlete, has great endurance, or great muscle tissue, etc., and they're just fatiguing at a specific point. So they're
hold that for a second, Brent, and I want to find out when we come back, limitations, how do we deal with it, and where do we go get tested? We're going to talk about all that and more when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, it's 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Is your budget getting blown up with high prices of gas and increased costs for other household needs? This is Ron Siegel, host of the daily home and finance radio program. Did you know if you have a low interest rate mortgage along with auto debt, credit card debt, or student loans, your family could potentially save $500 or more per month by restructuring these debts? If you'd like a free Borrow Smart analysis with our team, let's book an appointment to see how we might be able to relieve some stress. Schedule your appointment at rsrbsa.com. That's rsrbsa.com for your free Borrow Smart analysis. rsrbsa.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by the National Institute of Financial Education. Will rising interest rates affect your credit card as inflation drives up everyday expenses? The Federal Reserve is increasing interest rates in an attempt to cool off the economy. The Fed raised its target federal funds rate by 0.75% in June, the largest increase in nearly 30 years. Already increased it some more in July, and we'll probably see it again in September. Rising interest rates can affect your finances in various ways, and here's what you need to know if you have a credit card. Your credit card's rates may increase. Most credit cards have a variable interest rate, which means your card's annual percentage rate, APR, can change over time. Many cards' rates depend on a benchmark rate, such as prime rate, and the benchmarks are often correlated with the federal funds rate. As a result, when the Fed increases its interest rate target, your credit card's APR may increase as well. Card issuers generally have to give you at least 45 days notice if they want to increase your APR for new purchases, and they cannot increase your APR on existing balances unless there's a special exemption, such as when your payment is 60 days past due. However, a changing benchmark rate is an exception, which means your rate for new and current balances could automatically increase if your card has a variable rate. The rate changes could also significantly impact how much interest accrues on your card and lead to a larger minimum payment, according to data from Experian. The average credit card balance was $5,221 in 2021. If you have that balance and your card's APR increases by 0.75%, you'll accrue over $10 more in interest every day. What can you do if your card's interest rate rises? While you might not have a say in whether your card issuer increases the rate, you can take steps to limit the impact of a rate change. You can pay your credit card bills in full each month. Make sure you do it the right way. rsrccpayment.com. rsrccpayment.com. We still see about 90% of the people pay their credit card bills the wrong way for FICO scoring purposes. That's not always realistic, and if you're working to pay down a credit card balance, you could look into these alternatives. Consider a balance transfer card. Take out a fixed rate consolidation loan. Ask for a lower interest rate. All these are options. Creating and using a budgeting system can also be helpful when paying down debts and trying to avoid overspending. While budgeting won't impact your interest rates, paying down balances quickly can save you money overall. Again, go to myfico.com. I'm going to post this whole story. Myfico.com, it's the only source you're going to go to that I know of that's going to give you your true FICO score. Notice the name of the service, myfico.com. Credit Sesame, Credit Karma, Vantage scores. I call them FACO scores. They're not your true FICO score. That is the Borrow Smart segment brought to you by the National Institute of Financial Education. Continue our conversation this morning. Bill Janeshak, Brent Boswell are in the studio with us, chatting about metabolites, metabolic system, breathing, science. Just make it so. So I'll be real quick. So I go to Dr. Bill. He's a chiropractor in Yorba Linda, and he's telling me what he's doing and why he's doing. And I said, Doc, just make me feel better, right? I mean, I'm not going to become a chiropractor ever, right? I don't understand this stuff. I'm not going in competition. Do I need to learn it? Maybe, probably. Good morning, whoever is saying good morning. Facebook, or StreamYard.com/Facebook. We'll find out who we're stalking. So wait a second. Whoever this is must be getting, you're going to have to tell us, because how am I going to get Bill to pay you? They say Dr. J is the best. Somebody must be watching that you're
Thanks,
paying.
Mom.
Somebody must be watching that you're paying. But the bottom line here is there's limitations. So Brent, before we went to the break, you were going to tell us about some of these limitations on what we're doing or what we're talking about here.
Yes. So there's two parts to the test. So one of them you're probably not going to like because it's called the ramp up test. And
ramp up test.
Yes.
Okay.
And so you're wearing the mask, and it's measuring your oxygen.
Oh, here we go to masks again.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's not a Fauci mask.
Yeah.
We got rid of that guy.
You're wearing a mask, and it's measuring your oxygen to carbon dioxide ratio as well as your heart rate. And so with the ramp up test it's this box, and you're going up and down to a beat, and it does intervals, and it increases over time. So we try to push you to your limits to understand at what
my limit's my tiptoes. Does that count?
Well, I mean,
if that's your limit,
there's definitely depending on someone's ability
or lack thereof,
or lack thereof ability. There's different types of tests, but I would say that it's stepping up and down from a ramp. You're able to determine how high your heart rate goes at the different intervals, as well as what types of fuels you're burning, and how your body is utilizing oxygen, including cognition, lung function, heart.
That doesn't sound so bad. I mean, sometimes I just walking around Balboa Island, my heart rate seems to go up because I'm sweating and having to stop, and my knees start hurting and my hip starts hurting. And
have you ever measured your heart rate? Do you have a device like an Apple Watch?
No.
Okay.
measure my heart rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably gets up to what 100. Well, because I've actually have measured it way back when.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Long time ago.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting.
Then I got out of junior high.
My sister-in-law, very fit. Interesting enough is that her heart rate just almost at rest is at 100.
Is that
like
good
a
or bad?
hummingbird.
That's high.
So normal
Okay.
is 70, 72.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I've got my heart rate up to like 140 when I used to be able to do what's that machine where your legs are going in circles like this?
The elliptical.
Elliptical. There we
Yeah.
go. Right. So, and
Right.
when I was in spin class, I think I got
Yeah.
up to like 141, 145, something like that. I was breathing pretty heavy.
Right. Right.
And that's basically the same thing that it does, and it'll just measure you at each interval, and this is why it's a ramp up, because we can measure you at 72, we can measure you at 82 and 9 as you go up, and that's where we can find how you're functioning, but also like Brent said, it's your limitations. Where are you limited at?
Okay, so that was part one of this. You said part two. Am I going to like this one or dislike this one?
Well, I mean, part two, you're just lying down.
Okay.
again, with the mask.
You'll
You're,
like this one.
And just kind of, at rest, and we're going to be able to determine how many calories you're burning at rest.
Is that after I did this the ramp up test, or is it before I did
Actually,
the ramp up?
the first part is you're lying down. So,
Okay.
And then you do the ramp up test.
Okay.
And so those two things we're able to determine one, how many calories you're burning. We can be very specific, right? Is your metabolism slow or fast? What the total caloric expenditure for a daily activities, as well as a 45-minute session, and how you're at rest.
Wait, a 45-minute session.
40, well, just on average, right? So let's just say if you're doing 20 minutes, right, we can just split that in half.
Okay.
And then we're also going to be able to determine if you're burning carbohydrates or fat at rest. And that determines your metabolic flexibility. So
now, what do I do once I have all this information?
So what we do is, one, we can determine is your metabolism fast or slow, right? So we can't use that. We can, if someone
Eliminate
wants to
that
use
excuse.
Yeah, we can eliminate that excuse if that is something that I would say 80% of our clients that come in say that their metabolism is slow. And so far, doing the test around 100 individuals, I haven't seen that to be the case.
So we all say that our metabolism's slow, and that's a fact for nobody.
Well, then Brent's I was going to say expert. He's not even an expert. But he's a master at designing a diet plan for you, or your macros. And so, based on the test, you can look at your limitations here. You want to burn this. This is your goal, whether it's lose weight or get rid of COVID or increase your performance. Said this is what you can eat, and here's the things that your choices you have, and it makes it very, rather than saying, oh, you can eat tree bark and sand,
right?
That he can go over. He goes, okay, you want a cheeseburger? Good.
So is that your background as a nutritionist?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
yeah,
we're about
Yes.
Josh? What are we about 48 minutes into the broadcast, and we found out what Brent does.
Well, he did.
It's
say
magic.
It's,
Yeah.
Okay.
He has a master's in nutrition, so
Right.
I can figure this stuff out. But Brent looks at this stuff, and he just kind of innately knows it. Like you can read the market, and home sales, and all the variabilities in that. It's the same thing. If you look at you're going to go and look at all your data about what's going on, what's the sales rate, what's going up, what's the interest rates, how bad Biden's doing. Yeah. Everything that puts together is going to give you a specific picture. If I'm looking at $1 million home and then somebody else is looking for a 1.5, you're going to know where to steer them.
Sure.
My limitation may be my credit or my income or my savings or something else. It's exactly the same thing. It's just different
system.
Data points.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different system.
So where do I go to get this done?
Well, we do it at a York Belinda Family
Chiropractic right at my office.
Okay.
Yeah. But let me ask you a question. So what is, I know that you have had, struggled with weight and so forth.
Oh no, I've never struggled with it. It's always one. It's always one. That's pretty simple.
Is there a specific food that you just really enjoy that, that someone's told you, or a diet plan that's told you, like, you just can't have it?
I've never been told. I've been when I had my bariatric bypass, my doctor's been very, very vocal.
Yeah.
That proteins is eat a lot of protein.
Yeah, and that's
the
good.
majority
That's
of plate
advice,
should
right?
be majority of my diet should be protein.
And the two reasons for protein. One, it's the most satiating macronutrient, so it keeps you full longer, and it helps rebuild muscle tissue and maintain muscle tissue. And especially from a bariatric standpoint, impacts your digestion and absorption. And so increasing protein is.
Let's do some rapid fire with you guys.
Let's do it.
Knee problems. The diet's going to help when I get rid of some of the knee problems.
Absolutely.
Will any of the metabolic things help with that, or just the diet part of it?
So the just total weight off the body is going to increase.
Okay, so that one I've heard that one before. Okay, we got that.
Yeah.
What about
actually? There's another part to that. So total weight, and when you're actually not eating inflammatory food, then it's going to reduce inflammation and increase blood flow through that process as well.
Okay, so rheumatoid arthritis.
Yes.
This will help. You can figure some solutions out there.
I've had 20, 30 RA clients.
And we're not giving any medical advice here. We're just going rapid fire on success stories. So I don't want any compliance issues or problems. People, Ron said, right. So you got to go in. You got to get the workup from. Got to get the workup from the professionals here for that kind of stuff. So, autism.
Yes.
So I got to stick with Justin Benton for that one.
Yeah. Well, no, it's the same thing. Like you're talking about Justin Benton, and he's the ultimate CBD guy.
Okay.
Hemp 101, and great product. Anything that goes in your body is going to impact it. Is it going to cure autism? No. Is it going to do it? But is it going to decrease the inflation? Going to have you? There's study after study that are showing that.
I wouldn't ever say like if someone came in and they're that was their ailment or etc. That would for sure increase or improve. But I would say that anytime you change your nutrition positively, that your overall health improves.
Your body just functions better.
So I'm gonna narrow this down for those of you that are, and Nicole, I agree. This is great information. I'm glad the guys came in to share this. I'm gonna narrow this down for you because I know we're out of time and Josh is already screaming at me. But here's the issue. My bariatric doctor made a very interesting comment because I'm overweight. I've been overweight my whole life. The only time I wasn't is right after bariatric surgery, right? Or 6 or 7 months after that. And he said, you got to start looking at nutrition in a different way. He said, and I had a recent conversation with him. He said, okay, so you've gained weight. Tell me what kind of fuel you're using. And I had to scratch my head for a minute. And say, what do you mean? What kind of fuel am I using? He said, well, you're eating all this food. That's called fuel. What are you using? You got to use the right stuff. So if you go and put diesel into a gas car, it's not going to get you very far. If I put high octane into Bill's Tesla, he's not going very far, right? You got to use the right fuel. From what I understand, that's what you're saying. You're going to help me get to the right fuel.
Let me put it this way.
You got about 30 seconds.
This is where I tell the patients. I believe everybody's an urban athlete. Athlete comes from a root cause of or a word that means athlete, which means compete for a prize. You have to train you have to train for your life. And what prize are you competing for? Is it to be a better dad? Is it to look better at your 50th wedding anniversary? Is it to walk your daughter down the aisle? What you put in, it's your value based on what you value is going to get your meat suit to get you there.
Sounds almost like his NLP stuff.
There you go. There you go.
Great information. As always, I appreciate you. If you want more information, want to get more information about this whole process, give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh who's engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.